Hello, friends. There's a beautiful line from one of Swami Kriyananda's songs. The song is called A New Tomorrow. It comes from his oratorio, Christ Lives in the Holy Land. And the song was inspired by modern day Israel and sort of the fresh, energetic approach to creating its destiny, creating its living reality. And on the basis of all this spiritual tradition as well from the past. But anyway, the line is, leave the past, a new tomorrow waits for all who understand. And I wanted to share a little passage on this subject from Yogananda's Autobiography of a Yogi. And this takes place when Yogananda is new in his guru's ashram. Sri Yukteswar, his guru, is training him, and so Yogananda is sharing some of that training for our benefit. It was given to him more for our benefit, I think, than his benefit. But anyway, he's sharing it. And he just very sweetly relates this interaction with new students. A new student occasionally expressed doubts regarding his own worthiness to engage in yoga practice. I'm just going to interject here that I can't tell you how many times I ran into that exact attitude. Not just in India, also in India certainly, but all over the world. People will say, oh, but I can't meditate. Oh, well, no, I can't, And there's this sort of guilty, no, I'm not qualified. I don't know how anybody does get qualified if they never try. But anyway, that attitude is quite prevalent. So anyway, this is Sri Yukteswar's response. Forget the past. Sri Yukteswar would console him, mind you, console him. The vanished lives of all men are dark with many shames. Human conduct is ever unreliable until anchored in the divine. Everything in future will improve if you are making a spiritual effort now. And if you think about that, it is so easy to get, instead of forgetting the past, it's so easy to get caught up in the past, because it's like the momentum of the past kind of encroaches on the present, encroaches on our free will, encroaches on our attitudes and our expectations, our hopes for the future, and colors that reality, colors it with the thought that, well, it didn't work out yesterday or last week, so why should it work out today? And we have to just resolutely push that aside and just come right back and ask ourselves very simply, am I making a spiritual effort now? And it doesn't mean we have to spend the whole day sitting in meditation. It doesn't mean that, we're no good if we don't, aren't constantly making something that we would define as a spiritual effort in this exact moment. It just means in life, are you making a spiritual effort? Then everything is going to get better. It's like the law. It's the law of karma. I've given recent videos on the subject of karma. And it's absolutely true that when we put out good energy, when we put out spiritual energy, initially it may just be disastrous. Initially it may just seem like, oh, it's never going to work out. But you just patiently keep on trying. It reminds me of starting a fire. There'd be times when we used to heat our home with firewood many years, across the span of many years, when I lived by myself in a teepee, and other times in other places around the world, really. It's been a process of using that and knowing that. But there are times when the wood is wet, the newspaper's damp, the matches don't light, the lighter keeps clicking, and there's gas in it, but it just won't ignite. It's like you just have to stay with it. Or you get something started, but then the wind is howling outside, and there's a downdraft, and it blows it out. And okay, start over again. Or finally you get the fire started, but once that fire is started, then you can stack up the firewood near the wood stove or the fireplace, and eventually the heat from the fire you do have will begin to dry out the damp logs that are around it. And I can remember a number of times having to burn wet firewood. And if the fire is hot enough, you'll see the hissing coming out of the end of the log. It'll even sometimes be dripping out of the end of the log. But if the fire's hot enough, it will dry that thing out eventually. Obviously, that's not optimal. Obviously, you work at trying to ensure that the firewood you're burning is dry, etc. But in life, we're going to run into situations where the whole job, the whole moment, and the whole effort in that moment is to overcome whatever was not optimal, whatever was not ideal, and to just simply go beyond the identification with the past. Leave the past. A new tomorrow waits for all who understand. Forget the past. Don't identify with it. Don't say, oh, well, I was this, I did that, blah, blah, blah. Therefore, that's what I am. I'm just a this, that, or the other thing. I drank alcohol. Oh, I'm an alcoholic. Oh, well, I shouldn't say that because, for people who have that identification as a positive, that's a very positive step. But the identification of error, to feel that is my definition, that holds us down. So we don't want to stay with that, but rather focus on the spiritual effort that we are doing, however much we're doing of it. A minute a day, 10 minutes a day, an hour a day, whatever it may be, 3 hours a day, 7 hours a day, whatever. Just the longer we do those things, the more we will identify with the spiritual side, and it will begin to draw us beyond those old identifications. But that takes a real firmness, a little bit of stainless steel in the spinal column. We have to find the spine, and we have to stay with it and say, no, I'm not going to listen to that. I've heard it before. It may be factual that I did such, so whatever. Therefore, I'm going to step beyond that, and I'm going to stay in the moment, and I'm going to focus on the spiritual effort that I can make now with whatever energy I have in my life. I offer it freely and willingly and lovingly to God, and I will find freedom in that, and everything will improve from that spiritual effort now. Not just the spiritual things will improve, but everything. Reminds me of the biblical phrase, and all these, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. And all these things means the health, the prosperity, the relationships, the harmony, the prosperity of life. All of those things will be added unto us. But we have to make the effort, and we have to make the effort as the priority. When we do, those things do come naturally and organically in their own way. God bless you.